Okay, good morning. My name is Jennifer Wegeman. I'm a workshop facilitator with WorkNet 2Page. And along with me today is Siobhan Morse. She's going to assist us.
Good morning.
Morning.
And we're going to talk today about how you can access the hidden job market. And it's really not hiding in plain sight, but we're going to talk about it and see how we can help you come up, just come up with some different strategies to help you. So Jim is also one of our team here. He's the manager of Job Seeker and Veteran Services, and he's not here today with us. We also want to just remind you that if you're a new client, because people are coming in and out of our program at any given time, we have career counselors who will be assigned to you. If you are on this call, you have been assigned a career counselor, and that is your main point of contact for any questions that you have. So there is a few steps in the process. I know it can be confusing because you're talking to a few different people at any given time, but you will be working mainly with that person. And if you have a question, just reach out to them. If you don't know who your counselor is, that's okay. That happens, but you can always call our main number and we can look it up for you. But anytime you attend one of these events, you want to go ahead and just, email the counselor. I'm going to provide a code at the end of the segment here that will, allow you to email them and let them know that you attended. And that is part of one of the services that we offer. And we do find that any client that attends our workshops, participates, provides monthly updates, they tend to get jobs quicker because they're actively engaged with our program, which is designed to help you get a job as soon as possible. That's our goal too. So just keep in contact with them and that will be great. There is a Layoff to Launch workshop that's held every Tuesday, and you're more than welcome to attend. It's free, it's open to the public. You can refer people that you know that have been unemployed to it. But what you want to do is not go ahead and apply again for career services or training services. That's not how this works. You go to that just, one time. You can always attend it again if you really feel you need to, but it's just basic information. They do have some good information about unemployment, and it's usually for people that are just recently laid off or need to know some information about how to, what their next steps are. But if you go to it, it's fine. Just don't reapply again and go to our questionnaire. Now, the client portal that we provide is very helpful because we've got all these foundational recordings, handouts, things that we would do in person back in the day. I think that was a while ago now, March last year. We would host in-person workshops and we would pass out paper handouts. Well, that's all now on this client portal. So you can have access to that at 24/7. This is even better because now you have access to it and you can certainly tap into all those resources. And I really recommend you even revisit them. If you've been with us for a while, sometimes go back because you're only going to be able to absorb so much information at one given time. And sometimes just revisiting it or hearing it a different way on a different day, it might just click, There is a lot of content there, so it can be overwhelming. So we get it, but that's why it's there for you to help you. But it's really like the base, if you have not had to job search in a while, this is a great opportunity for you to pick up some new job search skills. The principles in general have not changed, but the techniques have, and they keep evolving, especially this past, 12 months. So you don't need to be an expert at it, but we're going to give you enough information for you to take charge of your job search and for you to be able to just, go all out and find that new job that might actually be a better situation once you're landed and you have a new opportunity. Make sure you put those, on your calendar of things to do. And then we've got these Wednesday job tips. At the end, I'll show the different upcoming ones, but we always rotate, and then we always have topics that are basically just a deep dive from what we talk about in the workshops. So we're going to talk about professional summaries. We're going to talk about ATS and the resume on the first Wednesday of every month. That's a given. So you're welcome to attend those more than once. We always provide a handout in the chat. And again, these are just some places where you can ask questions, you can, learn new techniques. And today we're going to be talking about accessing the hidden job market. Just a reminder though, if you are applying for unemployment, it is not considered training to attend any of these workshops. I've had that question a couple times just recently, and even if you go and pay for your own training, that is not considered training in the context that the unemployment office considers it. You don't want your claims getting held up any longer than need be. So just make sure that you don't check that off. So just a real quick reminder about how this game is just really a game. We talk about this again in different contexts, but you really want to think about how you're doing your self-assessment on your career, where you're at, what your skills are, what your transferable skills are. This is very important because a lot of times we see resumes, we see people trying to, prepare for interviews, and they really can't speak to what they can do well. And they need to really investigate that, because sometimes, like, again, if you've been working for a while, you may not have that language, those words, really down. And so you really want to investigate this. It's about you. So, it's not a hard task. It's just something you have to do so that when you are in the situation where you do get an interview, you want to be able to speak to your skills, to your accomplishments. What did you do that made an impact? How do you best work? What is it that you do really, really well? What are the top 3 things you can bring to any next role of yours that you're going to have? So if you skip that step, it's going to take you longer. Siobhan and I can attest to this, right, Siobhan?
Correct.
So we've, worked with a lot of clients over the years, and we just want you to make sure that you don't skip that step. A lot of people want to go straight to resume, and I got to get my resume out there. I got to search for a job, and they get busy, but they don't get the results they're looking for. So again, think about just taking this step by step, and we're going to be here every step of the way to help you. The resume, of course, is very important. That gets you the interview. So today we're going to talk about how you can bypass some of those ATS systems. And again, you may still have to participate in those, unfortunately, but we want your resume to have impact when a human views it or when you upload it into a robot machine, which is what those ATS systems are. So the interview, again, you want to be prepared for that. We offer practice interviews. We will meet with you. We will offer you questions. You can bring your questions that are very challenging to practice, because you don't want to practice on the interview. That's an opportunity for you to get a position. So you want to be well prepared and ready. And then hopefully, if you do all that well, you're going to get a job offer. And if you get a job offer, you can say yes or no. That's, again, entirely up to you. You can negotiate. The end of the month, which is, I think, next Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, we will have a salary roundtable as our topic. So that might be a helpful one to help you negotiate when you do get an offer. Now, if you are not getting job offers, we got to go back up. What's going on in the interview? If you're not getting interviews, then what's going on with the resume? And again, we always go back to self-assessment. So this is where, it can be very, overwhelming. There's a lot of moving pieces in job search, but really, it's really this simple. It's a simple game, and you can focus on a few things, and then you're spinning a lot of plates. I get it, but you want to make sure that you're focused on the job offer. I need to get a job offer, and then I will be out of this. And we know you all want to do that. Just some good news. In the last 2 weeks, 6 of my clients got job offers, and some of them have been looking for a while. I just heard from a gentleman today who he was hired temp, and now he's permanent. So he was very excited. And one lady, she had reached out, and this is again coming into our topic today. She had reached out to somebody she used to work with who was now a VP, and she let him know that she was interested in this position. She was hired like within the week. So it does work. There are things that are happening. Maybe it's the budget year. Maybe we're moving past, we're getting into, the home stretch here with the COVID I hope. So again, some things are happening because that was all within 2 weeks' time. So again, we'll see what happens, but all you can do is try your best. And if you're playing the game, you should be able to win because we're going to give you all the steps. All right. So again, when you do find a job, it is helpful because we help encourage other people. When they get a job, it's good to know that other people, you're not in some vacuum on some island somewhere, you know, and again, it's very isolating now with COVID. So we want to let you know that other people are getting hired. But that also helps us with our metrics. We have to meet a certain number of, you know, people landing jobs and completing training. All that stuff has to happen before we'll get money allocated to us again. So just let us know. We have a quick form to fill out, and it really makes a big difference. All right, so the next thing I want to share is just real basic. Hopefully most of you are familiar with this, but you know, you're welcome to post, but it would be helpful if you put a question mark in front of the question. If we get a lot of comments and stuff that it's not a question, it just takes us a little longer to be able to scroll through. We got a lot of, I got 2 monitors right here. So there's a lot going on, and Siobhan is helping me. So just be helpful for us. Either type the word question or a question mark, and then we know it's a question. All right. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to have a lot of exciting information for you. I know it's going to keep you up all night. Not that exciting. I'm just trying to sell it, right? But we're going to provide scripts for you. We're going to give you information that will help you. And these are proven strategies. This is nothing I'm saying is new under the sun. I have not invented any of this. I claim no trademarks or, you know, patents on anything here. This is all just good information. Hopefully we've captured it and synthesized it so you don't have to go and spend your full work week, you know, searching this information out like we do. But how are you going to conduct this kind of informational interview, and why would you want to? So let me just ask a quick question in the chat. Do you currently use information interviews as a strategy in your job search? Just yes or no. You want to type in chat. Okay, so I'm seeing some people. So informational interviews, we're going to talk about that today, but if you're not familiar with it, then you're probably not using that as a technique, but we'll talk, you'll know everything you need to know about informational interviews after today. All right, great. So part of the challenge is, you know, you get into the job search and you've got to find a job, and there's maybe multiple other applicants that are doing the same thing, you know. In February last year, it was like the lowest unemployment rate in the state of Illinois ever. And then within a month, you know, it just turned all around. So again, you never know when you're going to need to find a job. You don't know what's going to happen, as we can all, you know, attest to right now. But these strategies could probably help you at any given time in the future too, whether there's a pandemic or not. So informational interviews are not going to somebody and saying, hey, I need a job. Can you help me? That's not it. What you're doing is you're learning about that person's success story, how they got into the job they're in, the industry, the role, and just being curious about what they're doing and finding out, you know, more about, you know, maybe their credentials. What is it about them that has proven them to be successful in their role? And then often what happens is you're developing a networking relationship, which is really just a conversation. And by having that conversation, you're establishing now a contact inside an organization that possibly could be helpful to you as you look for your job. Now, some people, want to do different types of informational interviews, and we'll talk about the variety of informational interviews. Some people are interested in career change, so you're looking to find out where did they come from in their background to get to the job that they have now, which you might be interested in. Again, it could be industry information, and just a plug here, on Fridays we're offering over the next several months career conversations with panels in specific industries. Because sometimes you overlook different places where, if you're an accountant, you can work in healthcare, you can work in IT. You have to open up, unless you are very specific. And then some people are just too broad and they don't know where they'll work anywhere doing anything. And then people can't really help you because they don't know how to help you. So again, you have to do your research and figure out, what industries, what sectors, what types of organizations. Is it a not-for-profit? Is it a for-profit? Is it a government position you want? Whatever it might be, that's where you can do your research and talk to people. So we'll talk about the benefits, the advantages of informational interviews, and there's no downside to them. So I'll tell you that right now. It's definitely a topic that you want to pursue and take advantage of in your job search. We're going to give you scripts, so when you download the PDF, you'll have the scripts available to you. You can do a little brainstorming to find out who your contacts are that you might want to reach out to. We'll give you some good ideas. So this will be very informative. So, fill up your coffee, strap on your seatbelt. We're ready to go. So working your network, that's always proven. Like I said before, this woman that I was working with for a very short time, she contacted somebody she used to work with. They were both working at the same company. He moved on. She got laid off. She reached out to him. He got the wheels turning in her favor because he contacted HR to make sure that she was selected for an interview. And she was hired and started. So, I mean, it can literally be like a day or two that changes your life. So, why wouldn't you take that opportunity to reach out to people? Some people don't know how, so we'll talk about what you have to do and how you do it. But some people are just applying online. I want to make sure that you people understand this is the slowest way to get a job if that is all you are doing. And sure, you feel like you're busy. Oh, I applied to 40 jobs today or whatever, Yeah, but are you getting any results? And so that's how you're going to have to measure this, because like we always say, you're always in sales when you're in job search. And so what you want to do is put more stuff in your funnel, but you can mix up these strategies. You can certainly continue to apply online. It is, like I said, the slowest way to get a job. That's very reactive, and it's a very passive job search. Being engaged and proactive means you're reaching out to people. You're increasing your professional connections. You're reaching out to contacts, alumni, people in your network, your church, your neighborhood. There's tons of places that you can go to ask people for some of their time and be specific. That's the thing. You have to be specific about what you're looking for. So we'll talk more about that. But you want to connect with live people behind these job listings, because that's who hires people, not computers. What they do is weed you out. So unfortunately, you've got to get beyond these computers, and you want to target companies. You want to target industries. So if you're just applying where you see a job, that could be an internal job that they're not going to hire, but they have to post that job. And you've just wasted how much time jumping through their hoops when there's no chance. And you don't know, and we'll never know. So that's why take charge of this, have some other strategies. But you can also find jobs to apply to by contacting people in your network. And that's, again, one of the benefits of this is that they'll know, what's coming up. So I call these career network meetings. You can call them informational interviews. You know, you can just call it a coffee chat. Whatever you want to call it, it's fine. But what you want to do is be able to, you know, here's a script. So you can just reach out to people and you're not asking for a job. That's going to scare people away, because guess what? They don't know how to help you. They're not a career counselor. They don't know people, they think. And so they're, you know, they're just going to reel back a little bit, because that's a big ask for most people to help with. Now, you can be helpful by, again, stating what you're interested in. And so here's a nice script, but I'm going to show you, this is one with the actual, and you're going to have all these slides, so, you know, no problem. I'm working as a senior professional in human resources with the SPHR certification, and I'm looking for a job, or I'm not looking for a job, but I'm looking to find my ideal job, which would be combining recruiting and talent development of existing employees. Do you know anyone in this field or industry that can help me learn more? You're telling them what you do, where you specialize within that role, and then that you would like to find, you know, an ideal job and somebody in that field, which is fine. You know, they may know you're unemployed and looking for work, that's fine. But you're not asking them for a job. You're asking them for contacts in this field, and just, you want to learn more. You want to be, you know, engaging and try to get some, you know, response from this contact. So how this happens is, you know, you're basically going to be starting out, you know, just reaching out to a few people at first, but most people know like 250 to 600 people at least. So think about, you know, there's a big network that you're probably not tapping into. And then we haven't even talked about LinkedIn. That's got 760 million, I hear. I mean, there's unlimited numbers of people that you can reach out to. So you're not going to run out of people to talk to. But informational interviews, they're very well known as a technique, especially some people that are coming right out of college. This was a technique that I heard about, and it was helpful to learn about this. But I think you can do it at any point in your career, and especially if you are a career changer or you're thinking about going in a certain direction and you want to take your transferable skills, which of course you've done your self-evaluation, so you know what they are and you can speak to them, and you've attended our workshops, so you know how to describe your accomplishments. You know, again, this is all overlapping on all this material that we're providing. But what you want to do is go ahead and, you know, find out who are the people that I should be talking to, depending on what I'm looking for. But you want to be prepared. You want to have questions. And again, this is good practice for actual real interviews, because you're asking people questions, you're meeting with them in a professional manner, you're practicing your Zoom or your, you know, remote interview skills. So there's lots of good reasons to do this anyway. For other, everything overlaps in job search. You may want to create some scripts, you know, have ask for the meeting scripts, whether it's email, phone, voicemail. Some of us are more likely to email people. Some people want to pick up the phone, you know, whatever way that works for you. And one of the things that you may be aware of is What Color is Your Parachute? That is an excellent book. It's been printed every year for like the last 30, 40 years. So there's something to it if it's been doing that. And, you know, they keep reprinting this book every year. So it's an excellent resource. And sometimes you need to practice with people, you know, like maybe about hobbies. So, you know, let's say you're a railroad train enthusiast, or you enjoy knitting or quilting or whatever. Maybe you just warm up by asking people that you know and engage with them. And then you can move to more informational interviews, and then maybe more employment interviews would be right beyond that. And that usually generates, because everybody has hobbies, but everybody that has hobbies usually knows people. Guess what? That's who hires people. So you just, you always want to be increasing those odds by doing different techniques, different strategies in your job search. And have some, prepared questions. We'll talk about that in a minute. So what are the benefits of having these conversations? Well, you're going to hear about jobs that are never posted or advertised because they could be about to hire and you're contacting somebody, and as soon as they read your resume and get to know you, have a conversation with you, they may say, wow, I hear over in this department that I work with that they are going to be adding 2 new analysts or project managers or whatever. We're going to be merging in a couple months with this other location. You just don't know the timing of it. Sometimes it works out in your favor. But you're avoiding competition from other candidates. And especially if they're not posting it, you're never going to know about it unless you're talking to somebody inside the organization. And they say that 40% of jobs filled are never advertised because they've already decided, hey, they're going to hire, and then they let their contacts know and their network know. And that's why they just never have to pay for advertising. And given the state of our technology these days, LinkedIn, sure, they post jobs, Indeed posts jobs, Monster, Careerable, all these places post jobs. But those are, like the last place that the companies are looking. If they've already decided they're going to hire, they've already let their contacts and network know, people inside the organization know. So that's who you need to talk to skip that step and make it happen faster. But there are also niche jobs. And again, this can be sometimes where you're combining hobbies into your career. And some people are, good at creative thoughts about this and how to do it. But some people need a little more, help with brainstorming. So, that's what we're here for. But what you want to do is definitely have just some knowledge about what possible pathways could I go. I'm showing this example. John has a chosen career in biology, but he loves food. He wants to search for jobs in labs that work with food products, production, and inspection. So you never know. You could be looking in unexpected places, and sometimes you never know what's going to pop up. But again, this is where What Color is Your Parachute? Again, I highly recommend that. It's available at every library on the planet. It's been around. Even older versions are very helpful. But what he says in What Color is Your Parachute, Richard Bolles is the author, Boolles. It's in the slides, so you don't have to worry about it. You'll get the slides with his contact information, the author's information. But he says that most methods yield 5 to 25% success. So again, you got to mix it up. You got to have some different, but it's referrals. It's people that think of you, even if it's a few months later, it could be weeks later, whatever. They will be, sometimes it's, an opportunity will be heard about by somebody and then they'll reach out to you. That happened to me. There was somebody I knew in the community, she actually taught networking. She taught me a lot. And she had heard about a position at Benedictine, and she put me in contact with the director, and I met with her and she hired me on the spot. And again, that has built on, I have a part-time adjunct instructor career that I had no idea I would ever get into. So I teach at DePaul. I taught at Benedictine through that referral, and it's led to some really great opportunities. So it does work. I can tell you that. All right, so we're going to stop for questions in just a second. I just want to talk about how you plan and prepare. You can't just jump into this without getting ready. And let's say you're going to meet for a virtual coffee. Let's say you want to find out information about a specific industry or a new product or service that you feel is going to be, something you want to learn more about and possibly pursue as a career plan. So again, there might be different reasons why you're reaching out to people. So what's your purpose? Are you looking for leads? Are you just gathering information? Are you going to meet by phone, by, face-to-face over Zoom or whatever platform you're using? Again, this is common now. I think when this all first happened, people didn't really know what to do. But now this is like a common thing. People meet and they just have a virtual coffee. But you want to be open to, requesting of your contact what they prefer. Be open. Now, when the weather's better, which I hope is going to be soon, I think we're done with the snow already. You could meet possibly at a park or, maybe a restaurant, sit outside. These things are going to be more available to us as time moves on. But again, think about what they prefer. Sometimes people are more than happy to meet with 15-minute phone call, 20 minutes. I would keep it to about that time frame. And then once you meet with them, if they say, you want to be alert on the time and be cognizant of their time. And if they keep talking, which a lot of people will end up doing because they're excited when they get to talk about themselves and their path, and their career journey, which is great information, but you want to be respectful of their time. And you just want to say, oh, I see we're coming up on 15 minutes. I don't want to take much more of your time. And if they can keep going, they'll say, oh, no worries, I got time. And so again, you just want to be respectful. But try not to catch people like at the end of the day, maybe not Monday mornings. I don't know. There's certain times of the workday you probably remember when things were busy or if, people are busy. And again, once you confirm the meeting, you want to send your resume and just a short cover letter, just highlighting some things. And again, this would not be the same kind of cover letter you would send with a job, with your resume for a job, but maybe highlighting some things that you want to talk about and what you're interested in. So again, is this, a referral? Is this, a cold call? Sometimes you can just call people. Some people with a sales background have no problem with that. For some of you, that may be a real stretch. And not everybody is comfortable just trying to reach people that way. But some people, this would be a typical script that you could use. And again, you want to ask permission if somebody has given you a name. You can say, is that okay if I contact them and mention your name? Usually if they're offering that information, it is okay, but I would not assume that. Sometimes I'm talking to clients who I don't know their work history. I'm not a referral for them or a reference, but they have used my name as a reference, and that is not cool. I think you just have to be respectful, because I can't speak to somebody's work experience in previous jobs. I'm meeting somebody here for a specific purpose of helping them in job search, but I am not a reference for them. So again, you got to distinguish between what you're doing there. But this is all you're doing. You're just asking for, a short, just conversation. Can we exchange emails is another opportunity that some people might prefer, especially if they're in a busy time frame, or they can reply, after work hours, something like that. So this is, again, who are you thinking about talking to? Sometimes you can just call straight out of the blue and just find out, is this a good time? I'd like to just ask you a couple questions. I could either schedule this later, or if you have 15 minutes now, it's not really that hard to come up with just a few lines, but sometimes, this is why we're providing you with these proven scripts, because this is something that you don't have to reinvent the wheel then. And then again, you're open to different types of meetings, whatever they prefer. So you want to think about your you know, alumni organizations, church, neighborhood groups, volunteer organizations. But you want to know your industry. You want to know what keywords to use. You want to research that. You have to be prepared before you get on the phone or start emailing people or contacting them via LinkedIn, however you want to do it. But you want to be prepared and just kind of figure out your purpose of why you're calling and know what questions you're going to want to ask. So here's, for example, if you've got alumni that you can find on LinkedIn, whether you know them or not, they might have graduated 20 years before you did or 20 years after. It doesn't matter. You have this commonality. And that's what you're trying to seek, is some commonality so that you can, you know, encourage them to meet with you. My name is Jennifer. I'm contacting you because I found your name in the DePaul school database on LinkedIn. I would, you know, just like to request 20 minutes to ask you about your experience with working at DuPage. I'm trying to learn more about, you know, career development careers at specific organizations in the Chicago area, and your insights would be very helpful. Again, they're going to appreciate that you sought them out. And you can also add, you know, it would be helpful, this is why I put those 2 stars in, as I'm now in the process of applying for an open position there. You know, again, sometimes they realize the urgency of it, or they think, oh, wow, you know, we're really missing some talent. This would be great if I could bring somebody in that knows their stuff. You know, sometimes they can be helpful to their organization by you contacting them. They get the referral bonus if that's offered. I mean, there's some very positive things that can happen, and sometimes that's what it takes for people to take action too. All right, so you want it to be short though, because you don't want it to get deleted, you know, and some of the most common reasons they might not respond, and then you want to address those concerns. You know, I just want to take 15 minutes of your time, or I just wanted to reach out, and you might be busy. And then you can always just say, I'm going to follow up with you next week, or you could put a date on there so they know that you're not about to give up and that you're not, you know, they can't just blow you off. Now, some people are busy and maybe they just don't see it. Because of LinkedIn, the way you can set that up, some people don't see their LinkedIn emails until they log in. So just be conscious of that. You know, a lot of people get a lot of emails and sometimes they turn that off. And so they just have to physically go into LinkedIn on the platform before they see your note, especially if you don't have their email. And that's the way you're contacting them. Again, just be respectful. And here's what I'm going to tell you. I was on a webinar a couple weeks ago, and this coach, who probably charges lots of money to offer these strategies, he said that what he recommends is you find 2 to 5 jobs a week that are really in your wheelhouse. You search for 30 people. I said 30 that are connected to that company, and you reach out to them with these kind of little notes on LinkedIn. Now, you're only going to get maybe 4 or 5 people that respond, but that's okay because they have responded. They're willing to work with you. So again, this is a funnel, a sales funnel. And so he stated that this has worked for his clients. He said that within a few short weeks, people were getting interviews and they were getting offers. So again, it's just possibly a numbers game. So you're reaching out, you're trying to find out about a company or location. You're asking people inside the company. They all have the directory of, you know, the emails. They have access to reaching to other parts of the organization, even if that's not their area. And usually on the other side of LinkedIn, and I do a whole LinkedIn Polish Your Profile session, so I'm not going to go into that, but you know, when you pull up somebody's profile, there are also people on the right-hand side, and there's a couple names there and titles that could be also involved in the company that could be potential contacts for you as well. They've got algorithms. That's what all that LinkedIn, that's why Microsoft bought them for bazillions of dollars, because guess what? It's a platform and they know data. They have the data on all the people that are like this person or who have viewed these types of profiles, and that can help you. Plus you can search. It's just a big Rolodex, really, for those of you that know what a Rolodex is. So go on informational interviews. You want to make sure that there's, contacts that you're reaching out to. This is what other career coaches and people recommend. This is just a quote from April. So preparation. If you're not preparing, it's not good. That's the thing. You want to, gear up as a strategy to do this. And I know a lot of you are thinking, oh boy, this is a lot of work. Well, getting a full-time job is a full-time job, and that's what your job is right now. So, and for those of you that are project people, think of it as a project. For everybody, this is just something that most people have to do numerous times throughout their working life. I mean, I know we all know people that worked at one company for their entire career. That's unusual. It doesn't happen. It does, but it's not often anymore, for a variety of reasons, which is way beyond the scope of our meeting today. But what you want to do is prepare. And that's, start with your friends, your family, people who are easiest to approach. Then you can work your way up to others that are movers and shakers in your field. You want to be prepared and ready to go. Recently, there was a Forbes article about how, and this is the millennials, how they approach social media and finding work. And it's basically an overlap of what I just shared with you about contacting alumni. Hey, I see you're working at Microsoft now in the such and such role, and you went to XYZ University with me. I'd love to talk to you about how someone like you has advanced in your career. It doesn't have to be a long drawn out thing. It's just you're curious, you're open to ideas, and you're friendly. But you want to filter those connections. You want to think about, okay, where's their location? And now with, a lot of remote work possibly, staying in place, we'll see what happens. You can open up your job search to a national level. It doesn't have to be geographically right in your backyard, which is always ideal. But sometimes you can open that up, and if they're willing to work remote. But there was a recent Forbes article about this millennial and the Interfaith IO group. I don't know if you guys are on the IO groups, but they summarized it, and it was very helpful. It was similar information, but it was good to see it from a younger person's perspective, even though anybody could apply these techniques. But it's always about finding these points of commonality. If you're looking for people that can help you, oh, we go to the same church. Oh, I used to live in your neighborhood and, heard good things about, I just wanted to stay in touch. I still talk to so-and-so. I mean, there's just so many ways you could do this. But you want to send these personalized invitations. And then, of course, you want to, follow up professionally. Once you confirm your meeting, you want to say, hey, I'm looking forward to meeting you on such and such a day and time. And I'll be calling you at your number or whatever, we'll be Zooming. Here's the link. Set it up for them. Make it clean and concise, make sure they know what they need to do and when. And then send them your resume so that they have it in advance of your meeting, and they might be, able to ask you questions, or maybe it'll get their wheels turning about some contacts and referrals that they can make. But again, if they're not available, just thank them. And again, once you meet with people, you always want to ask for another person or another name that they recommend that you should speak to. And again, you're going to be rehearsing your commercial, but that's also good for voicemails. It's also good for when you're meeting with people for informational interviews. There's always good reasons to have that commercial kind of your go-to overview, high level overview of what you do and how you can help companies. So let's stop for questions. Bon, do we have some questions? Let's see.
Jennifer, actually, I think I don't have any right now unless they've gone directly to the host.
Okay, I just see, can you give me good examples of questions to ask? I am going to get into that in the next section. Okay, I just saw in somebody's LinkedIn profile, she had like a fact sheet. Now she was in the creative arts, you know, like working in advertising, but it was like a really quick fact sheet. And I just downloaded it yesterday, so I haven't looked at it carefully. But you know, there are so many things you can tie into your LinkedIn profile so that if people want to learn more about you before they meet with you, that would be the place to spend some time and just polish that up. I've also heard it's good to put, you know, nice quotes from people. Like they can certainly leave you recommendations on LinkedIn, but sometimes that's lower down on the screen. It's kind of buried down at the bottom. But there's nothing to say you can't pull some of that information, cut and paste it into your work experience. And, you know, let's say your most recent job, 2 or 3 people put some nice comments, you know, pull one up and just put it in quotes right underneath your work information that you post in that section. You definitely want to have your about section filled out in your LinkedIn profile. You know, you want to download the app so that you can see when people are responding to you, because if it's only when you go back in and check, you know, you might be slow to respond. Now, again, some people are looking at stuff in the middle of the night, you know, you don't have to respond then unless you want to, but I don't see.
I have one now coming through.
Okay.
So when you get 4 to 5 people responding to how you deal with the referral bonus.
Well, that's not up to you. That's up to that company and those people that referred you. But if you know, out of those 4 or 5 people, chances are, you know, you're going to talk to one person first out of the 4 or 5. I mean, it's not going to happen simultaneously. So I wouldn't worry about it. And besides, that's on the company's side. And I have a good story about referral bonuses because I did that once and then the company was trying to cheat me out of it. But I fought on and I got my money. It was $1,000. It was a long time ago and I worked for an IT company. It was another good memory that I can share with you. I say that.
Okay, I have another question. Is it okay to contact the company's HR recruiter via LinkedIn or Twitter?
It is. I'm not talking about that specifically in this topic today, but I would recommend that, you know, that could be one of the many people you contact. But you got to remember, what is HR's role? They are working with specific areas within the company that need to fill positions. Their role is going to be more on the back end of that. So what you're trying to do, at least with this topic today, is contact people that can help you learn more about the organization, possibly refer you in once you have developed, you know, maybe some rapport, or just they are generous in spirit and want to help you for whatever reason, you know, after you speak. But other than that, you know, HR people are there to weed out candidates, but they have told us, and specifically when they come to speak at our agency, they say, you know, we're happy to connect with people. But, you know, is that really the person you're going to contact? Unless you're in HR and you want to contact somebody for an informational interview. So again, think about your purpose. What are you trying to do? And what is the role of the person that you're contacting? You want to try and get to the closest department hiring person that you can. Or if you're just looking for general information about the company or you're looking at a specific role, then I would look for those people. But just be clear on what you're trying to achieve. Any other questions?
I don't have any right now.
All right. So here are some, we're going to talk a little bit more about meeting formats. We may go a little bit over, so I apologize, but there's a lot of information to share. And again, if you have to drop off, you'll have the slides. So with the meetings, you know, what you want to do is, again, this is not about being a job search beggar, you know, or whining about your job search. We all want to do that, but pick and choose who you're going to do that with, because again, you don't want to have a negative attitude. You don't want to be a negative Ned. You want to be the positive person that they would love to bring on to their team. And remember, no matter if it's email, LinkedIn contacts, via LinkedIn messaging, whether it's a phone call message, you never have a second chance to make a first impression. So it's always about first impressions. Look at your picture on your LinkedIn profile. I talk about this all the time in that topic when I do that workshop, but people, some of them are not smiling. I see this every day when I go on there. I'm like, what was it about that picture that you decided to put that up there? You know, like you look grumpy. So again, first impressions, think about how you're coming across. And again, you may be feeling grumpy, but that's not going to help you in your job search. And I get it. I just shoveled like 400 inches of snow this last week and I'm tired. But if you present yourself well, then you won't fear taking a risk. They won't fear taking a risk to their reputation by referring you on to others. See, it's not about you. It's about, do they feel comfortable, you know, sharing their names so that other people you could reach out to their contacts. I got lots of stories about people that don't do a good job of that, and then they wonder why nobody's helping them in their job search. Well, here you go. So using laser speak, this is again something you want to think about. Laser speak is a really good topic, and I'm sure most of you have never heard of this, but this is what you want to do. You want to be concise, you want to be brief, summarize, no long-winded stories, just very high level, because you're there to interview them, not talk about yourself. You're there to listen. If you present yourself, you know, well, again, they're not going to be fearful of passing your name on or considering who you should reach out to on, you know, with their recommendations. So again, you're considering what you're looking for. People are very happy to help, especially when you're reaching out on a LinkedIn you know, the professional network that's on there. It's not like TikTok where people are posting dance videos, okay? This is where people expect to be contacted about professional career stuff. It's not unusual. So don't think you're like the first person that's ever had to reach out of their comfort zone and do this. But at the end of the meeting, you know, just highlight, say, you know, I'm in an adventure right now. I'm looking for my next new position and opportunity. This is where you could use your commercial. You know, if there's anyone they feel, your human resume, this is not your ATS resume. This is the one where you could put all the fancy boxes and lines and colors and whatever you want to do, because it's not going through the ATS system. But pass that along, and then maybe they'll pass it along to you. And if you can send it to them electronically, like I recommended, to confirm the appointment, that's going to be easier for them to forward along. Again, make it easy for them to help you. Help me help you, as they say. But you want to ask for referrals. You know, that's always a good closer. You know, who else do you recommend I speak with? This has been very helpful. And when I call, may I use your name? And sure, you know, if they're happy with the meeting and everything went well, why wouldn't they? Maybe they're going to reach out and do like a warm introduction for you. That'd be awesome. Who else do you know that does this kind of work? Or something similar with this difference? You know, maybe they have contacts through professional organizations. Maybe they're a member of the Project Management Institute and they know some people there and you're thinking about getting into that. That could be a great lead for you as well. Whatever organizations are in your industry, that would be another great place to reach out to people. So here are some questions you could ask. Again, what drew you to this career field? How long have you worked here? These are just some conversation starters. You know, what about their job and career? Can you describe a typical workday? What skills are required? What parts of your job do you find most challenging or most enjoyable? State of the industry. This is always good, you know, to find out what's going on. What changes have you seen in the field? What changes do you anticipate? What about skills and experience? You know, you can ask about qualifications. You know, some companies are very specific in the type of people they're looking for, overall qualities. So sometimes they know that because they're drinking the Kool-Aid with that company and they know what they're looking for. They've been there long enough where they understand they're looking for a type. What qualifications do you seek in a new hire? What skills do you need in order to meet challenges or problems in this job? Again, these are going to be specific to the person you're speaking with. Other topics, you can also include money and advancement. Maybe you're interested in learning, you know, what type of advancement could I expect if I get into this field or if I get into this kind of company? You know, how do you fit in, you know, with somebody with my background? Are there any recommended resources, associations, publications, websites? You can ask them for recommended resources. And then always ask them, is there anything else you think I need to know? That's a nice open-ended question. You don't want to ask yes or no questions. These are all open-ended questions. And you want to ask, is there anything else you think I need to know? Because they might come up with something, or maybe even later, you know, they might share something and email you or contact you, which would be great. Now, especially for career changers, this is awesome because these are people that you can talk to, and some of them may have been career changers. As someone who's been a career changer a couple of times, I can definitely appreciate when people are making a move or thinking about doing a pivot into some different areas, but maybe using some of those transferable skills, which we all have. You just have to identify what they are and understand where they could be used in potentially other careers. Who do you know that has made this type of change? Do you have any recommendations for someone making a career change? Do you see a way I can capitalize on my background in order to get into this field? Do you recommend any additional training or certification? And then, you know, sometimes you're asking for career advice. Does my job goal seem realistic and achievable? What advice do you have for someone looking for a job in this field? Again, take it under consideration. They are not the end-all be-all expert on your career. That's you. But you can take that information under consideration and it might just spark ideas for you, even if they respond, you know, like even in a negative way. You could say, well, you know, maybe I should look into some other things, or now that I'm seeing this information coming together in my mind, maybe I need to start expanding over into this area. You know, I mean, every piece of information you've got to process and you've got to, you know, think about it. But it could be positive in the end because it might lead you into different directions that you didn't anticipate. So networking, again, it's just another way of saying having conversations. People are terrified by the word networking, but it's really just talking to people, which everybody does pretty much every day. You have the capability. I know sometimes it doesn't seem like we do talk to people some days because we're all holed up in these snowbanks for a while, but you want to continue and build your network even beyond your job search, because as you can see, this can be very important to help you down the road. Keep it alive, keep active, post things on LinkedIn. You know, people in your network are going to see it. You can also potentially use mind mapping. For those of you that don't know what mind mapping is, you can search on YouTube, just type in my name, Jennifer Wegeman, and I have a video on there called Action Steps for Success that's been out there for like 100 years. When YouTube first started, I was like, I see a lot of dogs skateboarding, but people are not learning anything on here, so I have to do this. I was compelled. But it's just a short video about how to mind map, especially for your network of advocates. Who are the people that can help you? So it's a nice, just step-by-step process. But it's worth doing any kind of way that you can organize your job search to figure out who you need to talk to, when you need to talk to them, what your next steps are going to be. It's a valuable project worth doing. So I know it can be overwhelming, it can be depressing, it can be very frustrating, a lot of rejections. But again, it pays dividends if you keep going every day. Have a couple goals that you want to achieve. It might lead you to a whole new adventure. I just got an email this morning from a client that we recently closed his file. He received a job offer and he was so thankful for all the help that we had provided him. And he's like, I'm not going to forget you. I was like, oh my God, I had no idea that this guy was so thankful for the help. But he was nice enough to share that. And I know he did all the work. We're just sharing information to help you because we want you to get a new job quickly. That's our goal too. So here are the resources that, you want to think about. First I just want to share this quote too. This is helpful. You can probably read this on the slides, but it's all about relationships. That's what it really boils down to, having conversations. And just a few last slides here. Once you have met with somebody, you definitely want to follow up and you want to think about, what's my next step with this person? Okay, I want to thank them for meeting with me. That was very nice of them to spend that time with me and offer all this great information. But then you want to keep in touch, like maybe every week or 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depends on, what you have to share and how often you want to stay in touch with the person. I wouldn't contact them daily. That would be too much. But again, reach back out and let them know how you're doing.
Jennifer?
Yes.
I have a question coming in.
Okay.
When an HR person reaches out to you to see if you're interested in a job and then misses your interview or just drops the communication, what is the best way to handle follow-ups?
All right, that's kind of off our topic here, but I would say, you can follow up a couple times, a couple different ways. Sometimes you want to call, sometimes you want to email, maybe a LinkedIn message if you're connected to them. But evidently either the job's on hold or they found another candidate or they're going in a different direction. So it's not a big deal. It happens all the time. We had a conversation on the panel and there was 492 applicants to one of the healthcare organizations for one position. I mean, it happens, move on. There's hundreds of jobs, hundreds of people. There's lots of jobs that are looking for talent right now, but they are in specific areas. You have to really consider, what am I doing and how can I be involved in those types of organizations? Because some of the jobs that are hiring, they can't find enough people right now. All right, so let's go to the next slide and then I'll be happy to answer any more questions. Now, the other opportunity to meet people is through volunteering. GivingDuPage.org. It's part of the DuPage County. There's a foundation. There's all kinds of great opportunities on their portal. And if you find that you want to be in nonprofit work, that would be an excellent place to start because there's hundreds of organizations that are right here in your own backyard that you may not have known about. And you can look, and they also post paid positions. They also have internships or unpaid positions, but you could gain experience. So again, contacts at these kind of organizations can be invaluable because those people know people as well in the community and in different corporate or paid other positions. Volunteer Match, another national one. And then again, focus on what your community needs, what your interests are, and you can do it on that GivingDuPage portal. It's nice because they do have, put in what you're looking for, how much time you want to spend, and they can match you up with different organizations as well. So you don't have to search. They can And then they always have a page with the most need as far as like what organizations really need help with certain things right now. And that varies and changes, over time. So here are the resources. Another excellent person on LinkedIn that I've seen. She's a little younger, but she has some great ideas. And again, these are all recycled ideas that nobody came up with. This has been going on since time started. But she had a good video about how to have an informational interview if you like videos. So just search for her on LinkedIn and you'll find it. The link is here in the PDF. And then there was some posts on LinkedIn as well about the hidden job market with some of the writers that focus on getting hired on LinkedIn. And then these are just some books that you might want to take a look at. The 2-Hour Job Search with Steve Dalton. For those analytical types and the research-driven types, that might be a good book for you because it's very process-oriented, but it's basically a numbers game. That's what he's saying. And that's similar to what that coach was telling me on that webinar that I attended a couple weeks ago. Reach for 30, you're going to get a couple responses. And from there, over a couple jobs, you're going to have some bites. It's really that simple. And then you've got A Taste for Work. This is a great book that some experts locally put together. I worked with them as a volunteer, and Joy McGuire Dooley, who started the first job club ever, she's very well known in the area. She was at the Lisle Township, has since retired, but she basically helped me get this job because she knew Jim. I was applying. She wrote a fabulous letter for me before I even considered working here. And out of the blue, here I am. I mean, it's all referrals and people that know of you. But I had done a lot of volunteer work, speaking to job seekers at her events that she hosted during the recession in 2008, 9, 10, and 11. Free. But it paid off because I get to work with you guys right now. And then What Color is Your Parachute? Like I said, excellent book. Definitely recommend it. It's at every library. They have an online, very helpful website too, if you want to check that out. So any final questions?
Yes, Jennifer, I have one final question.
Sure.
And it is, what is a reasonable frequency of follow-up with your network while searching or once you're employed?
Well, as far as timing, I mean, it would really depend on the contact you're reaching out to. I would say at least while you're in job search, definitely like once a month at the minimum, but it could be sooner, again, depending on the person. It also, once you're hired, checking in with people on a quarterly basis. I mean, I think you will gravitate to a time schedule, but if you're starting a new job, you want to focus on your new job. This is not as important, but you do want to keep in touch with people. And sometimes that's just posting a link, making a comment on their post. Hey, good to see, you're posting this. Great article, great topic, great whatever. I mean, I do that a lot with the people that I don't work with anymore, people I've known for years. Occasionally they just pop up and I feel like I'm still connected to them and they do the same for me. And again, it's just going to depend on who these contacts are and how often you want to stay in touch. But I would say minimum like twice a year, you reach out with a personal note, maybe put it on your calendar. And maybe there's, special people that you want to reach out to or even stay in contact with, in other ways, phone calls, Zoom meetings, whatever you think. All right, so there's the code for today, Hired 2021. Any other questions?
I don't have any questions. That is it. That was the last question.
Okay, so I know Siobhan has uploaded this. Here are some upcoming Wednesday job tips. We've got next week the salary roundtable, and then March 3rd, the first Wednesday of every month, is always ATS and the resume. We also have topics scheduled for March. I don't know when they're going to be put up on the website, but that will be up there soon, and you can register for all the Wednesday job tips. I think we're covering professional summaries, your portfolio, your digital portfolio. I'll be doing that during that month. We're also going to have another salary roundtable at the end of March. So there was a few that I think, you know, would be of interest to everyone on the call. Just go back and watch some of those foundational job search workshops that we have posted on the client portal. I would, you know, I talk to so many of my clients, I send them information about this, and I just am amazed at people that, you know, are still asking me questions. And it's like, well, you know, that's on the workshops. Let's be specific about the questions and the help that we can offer you once you have that foundation. You know, you don't have to be an expert at this, but, you know, do your homework, and then that will allow us to spend time with you, because we do have lots of clients, you know, helping you with stuff that is more, you know, things that are very specific that you need assistance with. On Fridays, we now call our job clubs career conversations. And again, you know, great opportunities to learn specific items on different topics. Behind the door, the application and hiring process. Georgina is coming to speak with us on the 26th. Go ahead and register for that. On March 12th, Fred will be speaking about the achievement-based resume. He's somebody that worked at Coca-Cola for many years. He is in charge of the PATH group at Compass Church. He's very helpful to job seekers. You might want to check out some of their programs as well. Information technology is our next opportunity in high growth fields panel that we're having on the end, at the end of March on the 26th. And then on April 30th, we're going to be doing TDL, transportation, distribution, logistics, supply chain. So we're going to have several different people from companies that can speak to their industry. So it's sort of like an informational interview.